Hi, beautiful souls. This is Sadhana. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to have a look at animal tarot decks, or tarot decks that have a significant number of animals in the deck. I wanted to include this as a theme in my deck collection series, but you'd already seen all of these decks, most of them anyway. And so today we're specifically going to look at the animal cards, how I work with the animal cards, what are some of the strengths of using animal theme decks, and so forth. And in the thumbnail, I did not include the Wildwood Tarot, which is one of the decks that we will also have a look at today. So let's get started and look at the cards. Let's begin by looking at a variety of species across several different decks, just to get an idea of the different way different deck creators portray these animals, their different energies, the different card associations. Here we have the Hanged Man in the Crow Tarot and the Hanged Man in the Raven's Prophecy. In this deck, we can use the flowers, the blossoms here, these associations, to kind of deepen the meaning of the card. In the Raven's Prophecy, I really kind of understand being in darkness for that revelation to come through, for that different perception. So that's kind of cool. This is the Spirit Song Tarot, the Magician. Here's the Magician in the Crow. So quite a kind of different energy, different portrayal. The keywords here are willpower and creation. This is the Death card in the Wildwood Tarot. And I think I put there's the Death card in the Crow. And then I really like this card. Here's the Moon card in the Raven's Prophecy. This actually looks a bit like a moon card here in the Wildwood. And did I get that up? No, that's the Hierophant. Here's the Moon card in the Crow. One of the things I do like in this deck is the use of cages on certain cards. It really speaks volumes. And then here's the Hierophant in the Crow. And here's the Hierophant in the Wild Unknown Tarot. And lastly, I believe this is a crow. This is the Seven of Feathers in the Wooden Tarot. And here's the Seven of Air, the Seven of Swords in the Crow. This has been kind of fun pulling out these cards. It's not what I was planning on doing with this video, and I am going to go back and talk about some of the decks specifically, but let's just look at a few more of these creatures. So the element of fire is definitely the theme for the Hare. This is the Four of Wands in the Ostara, the Empress. So I'm thinking fire, like fertility kind of energy. Usually water would be more associated with the Empress, but so here we have Hare, and this is the Queen of Fire in the Wildwood Tarot. And then next we have the Owl. So this is Death from the Wooden. The Moon card, which I definitely would can see the owl sitting there. And then in the Suit of Swords in the Wild Unknown, the owls are the courts for the Suit of Air. So here we have air, water, and death. This is going to be one mess of cards to clean up. Okay, so looking at the turtle. And some of these decks have turtles on more than one card, but I'm just kind of showing you one card. So we do have the Hermit. This is the Jillian Wild's deck. I'm drawing a blank. Naked Heart Tarot. Wild Unknown. This is Spirit Song. So here we have Ace of Water. So Ace of Cups and two Hermit cards. We also have the Owl up here too on Jillian's deck. And the Bear. In the Wildwood, this is the Wildwood, there's a couple of different bears, but I love this card. This is the Judgment card, right? This is the bear coming out of hibernation, coming out of the cave, and this brilliant kind of northern lights energy in the background, all framed by the trees here. This is a stunning card. And I kind of get this one too. We have kind of another take on the hibernation. So this is the Four of Air, so the Four of Swords and the bear resting here, and then the Hermit. Such a sweet card. We've got the mountains up there and the barrel kind of wrapped up. And then I chose deer, mostly because I love this card and I had to include this card in this little kind of section. So that's the Four of Earth. And then we also have the Daughter of Pentacles. And then this is the Ace of Pentacles. So all of these creators have chosen the deer to represent Earth, which is kind of interesting because there's not a lot of common threads of animals across decks. I mean, we did see the Hermit in 2 different cards. Here's the Bat. So we have 3 hanged men. Pretty cool. And then the Whale. So I chose 3. So the one in the center is from the Ostara. So that's the Ten of Swords and the High Priestess. This is a really stunning card. I like this one a lot. This is the Father of Cups. And in the Naked Heart Tarot, you have whales for the quartz for the suit of water. And they've all chosen the same species of whale, which is really interesting. And then otter. This here is the White Sage Tarot. So the otters represent the quartz for the suit of cups in the White Sage. Here is also the suit of water. So we have the Page of Water in the Wild Wood. And we have water in the Temperance card. So I kind of interpret this one as that balance of the activity, the playfulness, the tirelessness of the playfulness of the otters balanced with the water, because the waters also live on the land and they live in the water. And I think this is the last one for this little group. So I've got the Scarab. And we have 2 sun cards. Love these colors on the back. And then the Strength card here. So this is the Wooden Tarot, the Naked Heart, and the White Sage Tarot. Going back to the crows and the ravens, this is the Raven's Prophecy, this is the Crow Tarot, and I thought I'd show you a few of these cards side by side. I have done a full detailed video of the Crow Tarot, which I'll link in a card above. So there's the Ace of Cups, so beautiful, you know, with the lotuses in the pond here. And there's something about this lone crow in this puddle. I find that card actually quite mesmerizing. And here's the 2. So quite a different energy in those 2 cards. Three. Four of Cups. I love the use of the puddles and the reflections in the Raven's Prophecy. 5. Very similar, isn't it? The energy of the crow. And this one in shadow or in reflection is really well done. I'm just commenting more on this deck because I haven't really included it in any of my videos. The Crow Tarot is a very easy deck to work with, and I really enjoyed having it. It's quite large cards, so if you have small hands, it's not the best deck for small-handed people, but that's the only real criticism I have of the deck. The backgrounds are done really well in this, and so it's really easy to use the flowers and the scenes in the background. This Six of Cups, I just love it. The bubbles, it just speaks volumes, and I find it very warm and heartening. 7. Ten of Cups. So if you like crows or ravens and you don't have the Raven's Prophecy, it's not an animal deck by any means. There's a lot more going on in it. But like I said, I wanted to include it here because of the number of crows in the deck and just kind of show you the different energy here. So here's the Two of Wands. And this crow here leaving, the raven here leaving with these 2 sticks from the fire, which is a continuing story from the Ace in that deck. Love this. They're just stunning, stunning decks. Okay, so I'm going to slip this one to the side just for a moment. And I wanted to comment on the energy here of the antlers. So we have here two cards that show the energy in the antlers, and there was just something that was really kind of speaking to me. One of the decks I was not planning on including in this video was Lily White. And actually Lily White, the deck by Celia Milesville, Lily White, Lily Black, has more animals in it than the Raven's Prophecy. And I wanted to comment on the energy of the antlers. And also there's this beautiful card. You'll see the antlers. I wonder if I can move this over. Let's just do this. And this. And this. And I often reflect on this one here, and in the Lily White Tarot, this is the Tower card, and there has been some kind of a storm. This elk, this deer has shed their antlers, and there's this nakedness, this vulnerability in the losing of the antlers, which is something, that happens in the life cycle of the deer, of the elk. And for this to be the Tower card, I just find the underlying message here truly, truly profound. And then here in the Wild Unknown Tarot, we have all of this energy that is lit up in the antlers of the Father of Pentacles. And when I look at these two cards side by side, it just makes me think about that sense of vulnerability and what it means to lose the antlers and to have the power and the energy for a certain period of time, and then to know that it's only temporary. Here we have these beautiful antlers that are lit up in the Ten of Wands in the Raven's Prophecy. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you. Going back to Raven's Prophecy, this is the only other animal card in the deck, the Dragon card for the Chariot. So there are 13 or 14 cards with animals on them in this deck, so not too many. But as I said, I wanted to show you because the crows are so very well done. In the Crow Tarot, there are 78 cards, all with crows on them, but there are also other animals. This is one of my favorite cards, the Hermit card. Just love it. You'll also see, so there's a wolf on the Nine of Pentacles. You'll see a couple of different lions in the deck. There's horses on the Knight cards. These funny little sharks that appear in the courts for the cups. Yeah, so you will see a few different animals in the Crow Tarot, not just exclusively crows. One of the things I haven't mentioned today is why I might pull out an animal deck, and there's a couple of different reasons. One is if I'm working with a younger querent, a child or a teenager, and I have a deck that has a gentler message. Sometimes it's hard also to see the stories, to see the issues in people. It's too close to home. And in that case, I would also choose an animal deck. And some animal decks are a lot softer and more suitable for kids, I feel, than others. The Spirit Song over here is one that it's really versatile. And I feel that just the colors and the way that there's also keywords on this deck. So sometimes young people are very curious about that. And so that can be really helpful in a reading. I just included the panda on top here because we're going to have a look at the Panda Tarot as well. These 4 decks that you see here are the only decks in my collection that are exclusively animal decks. So in the Spirit Song, you have 78 different animals. This is the Bix Tarot, which has this little bunny hopping around through the whole tarot. This is the Way of the Panda Tarot. And the one down here on the bottom, all of the cards are landscape. This is the Low Rider Dachshund Tarot. And I just found one other panda card for you panda lovers. That is from the Naked Heart. So pretty interesting, right? We have the Strength. Well, there's a lot of different pandas. This is all pandas in this deck. I should actually show you the Four of Cups from this one. There you go. There's the Four of Cups. So the Four of Cups in the Naked Heart and the Four of Cups in the Way of the Panda Tarot. One of the things that I've learned about working with animal decks or tarot decks that include a significant number of animal cards is that each of the animals has many different aspects. And I think I was overly analytical of the decks in looking to whether the creator had put a specific animal on the correct card. And I've really kind of moved away from that because here we're looking at the bee on the universe card in the Naked Heart. The bee is on the Three of Pentacles in the Spirit Song. This is the Lily White Tarot. So here is the Eight of Pentacles. And the bee fits perfectly well on all three of these cards. And so my takeaway from this is that each of these creatures can be seen symbolically in many different ways. The Spirit Song Tarot has a very soft palette, so that's one of the reasons I find this deck works really well with younger querents. The other plus is that it has 78, as I said before, has 78 different animals on it. Paulina Cassidy's artwork this is one of my favorite cards, is really, really busy. So if you get distracted by that, or if you are in a certain lighting where you can't kind of focus on all of the details, that might make it a little challenging to work with this deck. And I also mentioned that there are keywords. So for some people that's really helpful, and for other people that can be really distracting. The Bix Tarot, on the other hand, has really bright colors. And whoops, each one of the cards has this little hare, this little bunny hopping across the deck. And it is very RWS in its symbolism, so super easy to read. And I've done a full walkthrough of this deck, so I'll put a card up above for you so you can refer to that if you want to see the whole deck. The Way of the Panda Tarot has a great sense of humor. I love this Five of Wands. It also oozes cuteness. You can see here in the Page of Cups. It's just so sweet. It follows the RWS system, and I find this deck works really well with younger readers. So if you're working with younger tarot students or also younger querents. The Rider Dachshund Tarot is a really sweet deck. It has a very gentle energy. And for that reason, I would recommend it for working with kids. Also, if you are working through challenging emotions or the process of grief, this would be an amazing deck to work through your journey with that. And I would strongly recommend getting the version with the extended guidebook so that you have the backstories of the dogs, because that does add another layer to the cards, which is really pretty special. Just love looking at these guys. Look at the nose. I have shown you several cards from these decks already. This is the Ostara, Naked Heart, and the Wooden Tarot. And I've included these decks not because they're exclusively animal decks, but because they have a significant number of animal cards that are really well done. I love these raccoons and the Seven of Pentacles. So sweet, as that hawk. So that is the Eight of Wands. And in the Naked Heart Tarot, we have not just in the court cards, but you'll find animals throughout the whole deck. So in the Suit of Cups, we have whales. Oh, and this Empress and Emperor in the wooden. Just love the way let me switch that up for you, how they reflect each other's kind of energy. Right, so we have the snowy, kind of harsher mountain peaks here, and then here we have the green and the evergreen trees, among many other symbols. And you've seen some of the deer before from this one. Oh, and spiders. I just love it when deck creators include spiders in their spider webs, because there's just so many layers to spider webs. Here's the spider web card from the Wild Unknown. So here we have the Wheel of Fortune. Here is the Eight of Pentacles. And I'd be remiss if I didn't show you this gorgeous spider web from the Lily White. So here is Wheel of Fortune, Eight of Pentacles. So let's move those back where they belong. So yeah, so these decks are just full of beautiful creatures. Fox. I could have shown you a lot of fox cards today. You've seen this one already. And yeah, horses. The horses are done really well. Here we have more of a unicorn with the crystal coming out of the head. And look at the energy in that King of Stones. So beautiful. I really do love these decks. This card here, to me, looks a little bit more like a 7 of Wands than a 9 of Wands. And I find in this deck, sometimes it's hard to figure out what the energy is of certain cards because just the way the cards are labeled. But the animal cards are really well done. So yeah. So that's the Austera, the Naked Heart, and the Wooden. There is something about the energy and the wisdom of these creatures that just radiates off the page. And I love looking at this artwork. This is the Wild Unknown, the White Sage, the indie version of the White Sage, and the Wildwood Tarot. So in the Wildwood, you have the majority of the animals are on the court cards. The same with the White Sage. So we have the elephants for the suit of pentacles, the otters for the suit of cups. The wild cats are for the suit of air, for swords, and we have birds for the suit of wands. But there are other animals as well, too. So we have like the bear on the strength card, and the seahorses for the lovers, and the dog for the fool card. And in the wildwood, we have birds for the suit of air in the court cards. And for the suit of pentacles, we have wild dogs and wild cats. Love that King of Stones. So powerful. That, of course, could also be, look like a moon card. Here's the Queen. Oh, so we have a bear also. So it's very strong animals for the suit of earth. And for the air, so there is a bird, right? So the swan. And the fox for the suit of fire. Oh, I love his eyes. He's just so sweet. I love it when foxes are not portrayed as cunning. I find there's just so much more energy to the fox than that stereotypical energy. Here's the Two of Pentacles, and we have the two hares battling here for fertility ground, I believe. And I showed you that one already. And then for the suit of cups, the suit of water, we have fish, not necessarily fish, but water creatures for the water in the court cards. And just like the other decks, you have not only the court cards, but you're going to see different animals on different majors and different places throughout the deck. So here we have two dragons in the Temperance card, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so I've really enjoyed working with this deck and spending a little more time with it. It's a deck that I got quite some time ago and then didn't really work with because I really wanted to take my time and get to know its energy and working with the Wheel of the Year. So this is a very special deck. So if you're working with the Wheel of the Year, this is a great deck to use. If you're working with the chakras, this is an excellent deck, as is the Wild Unknown. It works really well if you're doing that kind of work. So there's about 20 animal cards in this deck. I've showed you that one already. And they have this kind of, I don't know, I think you need to look at the layers, the deep little subtle use of color in this deck. And in order to really understand it, I have spent more time in the last 6 months with the Wild Unknown as well as her Animal Oracle. And I find that, so for example, if you take out all the cards that have lightning in them and you spend some time looking and studying and reflecting on those cards, you get a lot more out of the symbolism in this deck because the guidebook is not particularly well done in that regard. I believe it's Carrie Mallon's website who has, correct me if I'm wrong, a really good reflection on each of these cards. Here's another example. Oh, I love this one. Just to have that stage of the butterfly sitting there in the Eight of Swords, I think that's awesome. So yeah, so these are some of the either animal decks or decks in my collection that include a significant number of animals. And as I mentioned, and I didn't have this in the thumbnail, I wasn't planning on including it, but the Lily White, which is a deck that I use all the time, and I didn't realize it has more than 20 animal cards in it. And they're really, really beautifully done. So I will also include a link to Celia Millsville's website because they're just awesome. So the foxes, I believe, are the sigil for the suit of fire. And we have birds, so the eagles for the suit of swords. Isn't that one great? Yeah. So I've kept you long enough for today, and let me know what you think of these decks and how you work with animal decks, and what's your favorite animal deck. I know I have a few on my wish list, and it's just we have to limit ourselves in that regard. So I wish you well, and I look forward to chatting with you below. Stay well, my friends. Namaste.